I'm gonna say this right now. I don't ever want to hear anything about how this generation doesn't want to work anymore. I have applied, I'm not even joking, I've applied to upwards of 40 jobs, and I have gotten one interview. One! And it's not like I'm using like my degree to get a job. No, this is for like to work in a restaurant, to work at like a pizza place, and I'm not getting anything. And I've called back, I've come into these places, and they've been like, yeah, totally, thanks for coming in, we'll call you back, and then I never hear anything back. I'm gonna lose it. I need a job.
Hello everyone, this is Emmanuel Cook. We will be reacting to a new video today, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's get into the video.
My generation is fucking crazy. I just have to say, like, we take nothing seriously. Like, what needs to like happen for us to be like, oh shit, and to lock in and not make a meme or a joke about it? Like, I feel like every time that there's something serious that has gone down, there's a new meme about it, or someone's like making a joke about it, and it could be like the most serious thing happening in the world, and there's some sort of like, my generation just cannot take anything seriously. I don't know.
Oh, and another thing, to the parents who think it's okay to kick their kids out at 18 because they grown and they need to figure out life, you ain't shit, ain't never gonna be shit, and you wonder why your kids can't break generational curses. Tuh.
If you're in your 20s and the thoughts running through your head are, please make this stop, when will this end, I'm tired, this video is for you. And everyone will just tell you, just keep going, don't give up, just keep going. And there is just so much truth to that. All you really need to do is by hour by hour, day by day, you just need to stay steady the course. You don't need to change things. You don't need to pivot. You don't need to do anything crazy or outlandish to make that feeling go away, because that feeling is supposed to be there. You're supposed to feel lost in your 20s. And here's the thing. I've come to this conclusion after I journaled today. And reflecting back, I looked at my 20s and I thought, wow, my 20s were so freaking painful, but it's my 20s that became the foundation and the building blocks to be who I am today as a 30-something-year-old. If I didn't struggle in my 20s, if I didn't make mistakes, if I didn't make countless left turns and have to repivot out and figure out a new path, if I didn't go through these things, I would not be as resilient, as determined, as kind, and as empathetic, and as freaking, I don't know, relentless in pursuit of my goals if I didn't go through that in my 20s. There were so many times in my 20s where I completely bottomed out, where I thought there is no way that I'm going to be able to get out of the hole that I dug myself into. But I did, and so will you. All you need to do is just keep going, one foot in front of the other. Truly, you just keep going, and life will show you when you need to make turns, when you need to enter in that other door. Life will literally position you in those opportunities if all you do is just keep going. You just keep moving forward. The minute you stop and you just sit in your anxiety and depression and decide, this is it for me, that's when opportunities will stop showing up. Your one job in your 20s is to experiment. You keep moving forward and you keep looking up, because I guarantee you there will be an end. There will be an end to this pain. And in your 30s, there will be a different set of pains. But that's it for another time and another story. Okay, bye.
You want to know why it seems like millennials and Gen Z are just the most depressed generations ever? It's because we are. But there's a real reason for that. Millennials and Gen Z are honestly the first two generations to see the bullshit for what it was. And not only that, we're the first two generations to actually speak out against the bullshit. Like me, for example. I'm a millennial. I'm a younger millennial. I was born in 1991, which essentially is just 6 years before Gen Z. We were the generation that were told by our Gen X and Boomer parents that if you go to college, get a degree, you graduate, you get a good job, that's all you gotta do, right? So we said, all right, cool. We went to college. We got our degrees and we started to graduate in the late 2000s and early 2010s. And those degrees didn't mean a damn thing. As a result, we looked at our Boomer and Gen X parents like, why the fuck did you lie to us like that? It's not their fault. They technically didn't lie to us, because the reality of when they were growing up, yes, degrees actually mattered. In fact, a lot of our parents got turned down for jobs because they didn't have degrees. They just didn't know that the world would change right as they were telling us that. Bro, we are really the transitional guinea pig generation. Like when I was born, VHS and cassette tapes were popular. But when I graduated college, we had already started to transition into fully digital media libraries. Literally everything ended and began with my generation. Millennials grew up with so many promises that we all thought we were gonna be straight if we just followed the formula. That was never the case, bro. So now, here we are in our early 30s, mid 30s, late, some of us even in our early 40s now, still on own homes, still in apartments, still kind of just winging it in life. And it's even crazier is the fact that the government still sees millennials as children, not realizing that the oldest millennial is in their fucking 40s, bro. We're depressed because we're in a stagnant state. You know what I'm saying? We have not been able to grow. Most millennials' lives honestly have not changed over the last 10 years. You might make a little more money than you did back in 2014, but your living circumstances and all that kind of shit, most likely, it ain't really changed much. Still living in an apartment. You either got the credit score for a house, but you don't got the income, or you got the income, but you don't got the credit. And then with the interest rates being so crazy, it's honestly cheaper to rent a house than it is to buy one. Not to mention that millennials and Gen Z are the generations that just been bombarded with information for our entire lives. Like, yes, awareness is good, but listen, man, too much of anything is a bad thing, and too much awareness definitely takes a toll on your mental health, man. Like everyday war, genocide, famine, gas prices, interest rates, job market. We know too much. Is overwhelming. Everything's expensive now. When I was in college, I used to go to McDonald's and get a McDouble, a McChicken, a large fry, and a sweet tea for $5.35. I put that same meal in my McDonald's app cart the other day. That motherfucker was $12. And our parents had the audacity to ask us, did we have McDonald's money back in the day? Motherfucker, you mean $4? But yeah, man, if it seems like millennials and Gen Z are just the most depressed and cynical ass generations, it's because we are, for a lot of valid ass reasons. None of us know what the hell going on. We just out here winging it, man.
Gen Z includes anyone born in 1996 to 2010, which means Gen Z can be as old as 28 or as young as 14, which also means there are Gen Zers who have children, who have been out of college for at least 10 years, and are people with full-on adult lives and careers. So why is it that anyone born before 1990 talks about Gen Z like we're all 14 years old? The term Gen Z is always used to infantilize us, like we're just a bunch of kids running around with our iPads who have no concept of the real world. Like, half of us grew up with dial-up and VHS tapes and CDs, and I had a Walkman. I wasn't allowed to be on MySpace because I was too young, but I know what it is. I'm so fascinated by this millennial Gen X obsession to act like relics, as if a lot of us elder Gen Zers weren't in classes with millennials. I'm convinced that when people are talking about Gen Z, they're not talking about us that were born in the late 90s. They mean 16-year-olds born in 2008. I feel like the Gen Z bracket is too wide of a gap because someone born in 1996 and born in 2010 are living completely different experiences. I don't know what we need to do about this, but stop acting like Gen Z is a bunch of 12-year-olds.
I'm jacking millennials just don't want to grow up, because saying that Gen Z is aging like milk is crazy to me. Because what y'all really need to be worrying about is why y'all 3rd and 4th graders are reading at kindergarten level. Did you not just see they upped the retirement to 70? We're working 40 hours a week and it takes 80% of our paycheck to pay for rent. We're stressed. What are you talking about? I'm sorry, our rent don't cost a sack of potatoes no more. We actually have to put in work. And before y'all even come at me, this is somebody that have their own apartment and making almost 6 figures a year. And I'm still broke. Because if y'all was up making 6 figures a year, you guys would be living lavish right now. I should be able to afford a house. And I can't. And it's not about me, oh, maybe if you save your money and da-da-da. Oh, I save. And guess where that money goes? Back on a bill. I know people that have over 2-3 degrees and they still cannot afford New York City rent. So what are we talking about here? And for y'all talking about, oh, I'm 30, 35 and I look 19. You don't. You look 35. I can see it in your hands, babes. I can see in your wrinkles, babes. I can see in your neck. Babes, you're reaching. Them little compliments the waiters be giving you talking about, oh my God, you look like her sister. They're lying. Because we don't look alike, stink. And I'm not even trying to be disrespectful, but worry about your own generation, gang. Because y'all kids can't even sit at a dining room table without iPads. We had crayons and coloring books. 4 cheap colored crayons that broke the moment you touched the paper, and we were happy. Your kids can't even hold a conversation. Their intellect is at a 0. Me personally, like, instead of worrying about Gen Z, I'll be worrying about why my child can't read. The help that y'all was getting, they canceled it before we can even turn 18. 21 even. We don't get that. Everything is going up but our wages. And y'all want us to work till we're 70? Y'all dumb in here. And respectfully, no shade, but to throw the whole forest, y'all look y'all age. I don't know who needs to tell y'all that, because it's not going to be the Jamaicans down the block. Y'all look y'all age. You're welcome.
About to finish getting ready because I'm about to head out. But a quick rant. You guys remember in middle school when they talked to us about the American dream, which was basically like, you know, going to college, getting a good job, finding a good job, and then buying a house one day. And I think at the time in middle school, like when I was like processing it, even though I really didn't know much about life, I was just like, that seems like an easy plan. Like that's something I can do really, really easy. And also I think it relates to hustle culture, because with social media, you see hustle culture everywhere. You see people that are your age probably doing better than you or making this amount of money. And you're kind of like, how can I do that? You know, how can I put myself to make this amount of money or be doing what they do? I read this article the other day, which is very interesting. I'm gonna have to show y'all. This is the article that I was reading the other day. It's from Edu Birdie. And basically, as you can see from the title, it's about wealth, work, and happiness and the life goals of Gen Z. And pretty much how they put work above their happiness. What's interesting about this article is that 37% of like Gen Z, which is basically kind of our younger adults, want a job that they enjoy, while 31% think that money is more important. I love reading articles, so this article is very interesting to read. I'm not gonna say I don't like working, because I do like what work provides for you. It provides you with a lifestyle, it provides you with financial stability, but if you're gonna put work above everything else, I just wouldn't be able to do it. Like if I was just working 24/7, I wasn't able to enjoy my money. I wasn't able to spend time with my family, my sisters, or be able to take trips and be able to live life. What's the point? What's the point of working? What's the point of this American dream, you know? But I am headed out. Bye, guys.
I feel like I'm working 24/7 in this current economy. Like, I'm pretty sure all my Gen Z out there, you're probably working 24/7 with multiple part-time jobs or struggling to get a full-time job, and you're working some part-time job that you don't really want to do. Or maybe you are working multiple part-time jobs and you're doing multiple side gigs on the side just to live paycheck to paycheck, and you will never get enough of your savings to feel comfortable. You'll never be able to like afford a house and just settle down and just have that day where you just like, you know how in the movies, like the main character, his mission is finally done after years of grinding and battling or whatever. You'll never have that moment like the main character, you just sit down and you're like, my mission is done. Like, you will never have that day. Like, our generation has no future. We have no promise of the future. Like, millennials had like a false promise of the future. Boomers had a great promise. Like, they have all the real estates and everything. But I feel like as a Gen Z, there's just no end. We're just working 24/7. Even when you're not working, I feel like my mind is always racing. I'm like, what are some other ways I can just make other money? You know, I never think in my mind like, okay, let's just take a break and just relax, because I can't. I'm literally going to starve to death. I'm going to be stuck here forever. Like,
A quick reminder, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's continue the video.
So we all know that the economy is completely not doing so hot. We know that prices have skyrocketed. It's not new. I know that. I'm not saying anything revolutionary, but I just needed to get this out for a second. So I just went to the mall for the first time in like a couple months. I don't really have that much time. I don't really go to the mall, but I got some money for Christmas, and I was like, you know what? Why not? I want to go. I want to walk around. Like, why not? So I go to like the clearance stores. I go to TJ Maxx, I go to Burlington, I go to Marshall's. Like, I never really buy anything full price anymore. But so I went to TJ Maxx and I'm shopping in the clearance section, and there are things for clearance that are $28, $32 for a top. Not even like a sweater or a jacket, but a top. Like, that's insane. I guess I'm just gonna have to make my clothes now.
I've not caught a break since 2020 as well. I am always tired, always working, and always just in action. I have just been go, 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 go. But never have I just stopped and fully rested. Just on my own and just purely enjoy life. There's always just something in the back of my mind saying you are not doing enough. that your goals are here. You have to accomplish this. And now it's over here and over here. Stressful. It's extremely stressful. We have to find a way to live and just have a chance to breathe and catch up on stuff. There is always something to catch up on. Always behind on bills, student loans, credit card debt, and other things to pay for. Always just go, 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 go. When will we have a chance to just step back and breathe?
Hey, Gen Z, younger millennials, government here. Why aren't y'all having any babies?
I'm going to tell you why Gen Z birth rates are going down. That's why I'm 26 with one child. I'll give you a little story time about a conversation that I had when I was out with some girls I went to high school with. So the conversation was about having kids if you can't financially support them. One of my ex-friends was like, oh, well, you don't have to be financially stable to have a child. You just need to bring them in with love and they'll be okay. And her other friend agreed with her and was like, oh, yeah, I agree with that. Like, you need to be surrounded by love. Like, I appreciate the times was hard and my mom still kept a straight face. I'm like thinking in my head, girl, do you not know how much it took for your mom to keep a straight face? Especially in like any times like this, I could only imagine the stress our generation has. Rent is high as fuck. Housing market is high as fuck. Now the mortgage rates are high as fuck. Gas is high. Everything is dried up. A lot of people are depressed and like offing themselves because of poverty, struggling.
This might be an unpopular opinion, but it is not Gen Z's job to fix the world. And right now, it's seeming like millennials and Gen X are starting to rely on the idea that they will. Don't get me wrong, the protests at universities across the country prove that Gen Z is willing to stand up for what's right in a coordinated, organized way that is working. But they can't do this alone. You understand that their protests are not just anti-genocide. Right now, they are fighting back against the people who control our government. If I'm on your For You page, I'm willing to bet that you already know just how much AIPAC is pulling the strings. What is happening across the country right now might very well dictate the future of America. Gen Z needs you to be involved in that fight. The future of humanity needs you to be involved in that fight. And I promise, no matter what your situation is right now, there is something you can be doing to improve things. Don't become complacent by believing that Gen Z is the saviors. Everyone alive today in the bottom 99% has a role to play.
Y'all, I got called out at work today for having a period at the end of my Teams message. A period. One of my Gen Z coworkers, she's like, you need to stop putting the period at the end of your messages. I'm like, what are you talking about, period? She's like, yeah, it's considered aggressive. Aggressive? When did proper grammar become aggressive thing in this world? When? I will double space, ellipses, and hyphenate till the day I freaking die. Y'all are not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it.
Somebody new got stabbed on the train. Somebody got lit on fire. Somebody got pushed onto the train tracks. TikTok's getting banned. The economy's going downhill. Like, oh my God, take me out of here. Oh my God, is it a prank? When do we wake up? The year just began. It's like every year it just gets worse. I can't. And all I keep thinking about is the way my parents would like gas shit when I was younger. Like, you don't know what struggling is. I had to walk through 5 villages and do 15 backflips in the morning to get to school. Mom, I don't give not one shit. When I asked my parents about like something groundbreaking that happened when they were growing up, they're like, oh, I had a box TV. Yeah, plasma television. Plasma TVs came out when you were growing up? Oh, wow. Wow, yeah, you really went through it. Smartphones just came out, you know. I had a BlackBerry growing up. Like, bro, I don't give a fuck. At this point, give me the BlackBerry and take everything else. Like, I'm tired. Living off a regular job is genuinely impossible. Like, even if you was to get a little studio, just you would just like die, starve to death, I don't know, something. Like, yeah, like, oh my God, COVID, like, oh my God, I just want to live, bro. I haven't caught a break since 2020. None of us have.
And I'll tell you why people don't like serving boomers or Gen X anymore. I work at a liquor shop that has on every door, on every point of entry, signs that say, we are cashless. Now, why is that? Is that to make older customers feel alienated or ostracized? No, it's not. It's to decentivize people who are trying to rob the establishment, because if we don't have cold hard cash, What are you gonna rob us for? Our liquor bottles? Okay, go ahead. I'm working this shift, and an older woman comes in. She's definitely Gen X or a boomer, and she's purchasing hundreds of dollars of liquor, just casually. This is not like something that she's gifting. She's just milling around, you know, I guess I'll get this. I guess I'll get this. I think her total was like $320 that she was just gonna drop on a whim. And she starts taking out money, taking out hundreds of dollars, like bills, $100 bills, right? And so I stop her and I say, hey, I'm sorry, we're cashless. And she just stops, gives a slow look up, and stares at me and says, really? No, actually, I'm lying to you. Actually, every sign on every fucking door that says we are cashless is lying to you. We're just doing this big heist and prank just to make sure that you felt uncomfortable, just to make you mad, actually. That's exactly what I wanted to do with my day. And then she pulls out her card and, like, drops it on the counter to me as if she's, like, throwing it at me. And she's like, I guess I'll put it on the card. I guess I just wanted to spend my cash. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't give a fuck that you were trying to get rid of all of your $100 bills. You could do that in another establishment. This job does not pay enough for me to pay my rent. I have 5 jobs. Do you understand me? You are dropping hundreds of dollars just casually on liquor in your day. I don't give a fuck that you were trying to get rid of her cash. That's not my fucking problem. My issue is to get through this fucking shift. I don't give a fuck. And so I pick up the card like a fucking peasant and I tap it on the checkout thing, on the whatever, the console, you know what I'm talking about, and tap it. And she's like, oh, didn't know we were doing that. I thought it was just like a normal cashier. See, I just don't even know how to use these things. Again, I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry, I don't give a fuck. You're complaining at me about this issue like I have power to change it. Like I am the owner. Like I designed this system. Like I chose to make this cashless to make your job specifically harder. I don't give a fuck. I'm clocking in and clocking out. If you have an issue, you can talk to the owner. What you're not gonna do is you're not gonna take that shit out on me. Like, I personally care about your well-being, your anger, your issues. Like, I care. I don't give a fuck. Because you obviously don't care about mine. That's what you established and showed to me. So yeah, I'm sorry to say just Gen X and boomers, but people my age that come into this establishment never do shit like that. There's inherently more foundational empathy from person to person to not treat someone like that. It's like, I don't know if it's because it's been so long since you were at the bottom of the food chain that you just don't have the empathy to understand that I have little power, I have little stake in this, and I don't have fulfillment in this. And that you don't have to treat someone like that. I'm serving you. I don't have to be nice to you. I just have to check you in and check you out. And you know what you don't have to do? You don't have to be an asshole. But you're choosing to do that. So I'm gonna match your energy. Sorry, I don't give a fuck.
You know what I realized as a millennial, why boomers are so mad at us and why they think we don't work? Is because boomers had to endure things and millennials and Gen Z realize that we don't have to endure things. There is a movement going on right now on TikTok where people are being very open about the fact that they don't like being a parent. They don't like being homeowners, that marriage isn't worth it, and that corporate America is a joke. All the things that boomers have been literally conditioned and primed to aspire to. The 9-to-5 job, the house with the picket fence, the marriage and the kids, all those things that they literally base their entire life around. All of those things, we are literally looking at those things and saying, nah, I'd rather just have a plant. I'd rather have a dog. I'd rather live in a high-rise building. I'd rather work in a cafe. I'd rather do those things. I'd rather become an influencer. I'd rather do anything than all the things that you told me that I should be doing. Because those things require a certain level of endurance and capacity that I, as a millennial and as a Gen Z, do not have. And the thing is, when I'm talking about enduring, I'm not just talking about enduring the marriage, the home ownership, the children, all of those things. Like, those are things that, yes, are beautiful things, but they have some certain level of endurance. I'm talking about the literal corporate sprint that you have to get through just to obtain those things. There was an article that was just dropped, okay, where they were talking about the 5 most expensive states to live in. And guess where the fuck I live at? New York City, okay? I live in one of the most expensive cities in the world, all right? If I wanted to have a family, me, my man, a house, 2 kids, I need to at least be making $267,000 a year to live comfortably. And let's not talk about what kind of a fucking mess the job market is. So yeah, millennials, we're realizing that we don't have the capacity to endure because we're enduring things that are literally out of our control. Things that no matter how much water we put on the fire, shit is still gonna burn. We get a job, now there's crummy health insurance. There's no pension, there's now a 401k, but mind you, the job basically pays nothing, so you can't even pay into that. Then they're saying that we don't have enough children. There's not enough children. But what they fail to realize is boomers back in the day had this thing called community. We don't have that now. A lot of millennial parents or millennial grandparents, meaning the parents of millennials, don't want to be grandparents. They don't want to support their kids. They don't want to help them raise their kids. So the cost of living is higher. We don't have any sense of community when it comes to like having children. We're realizing that men are using weaponized incompetence when it comes to marriage. The corporate ladder, don't even get me started about that. So then instead of boomers trying to look at things from our perspective, they just see us as a generation that spit in the face of everything that they aspired to have. But the thing is, back in the day, you can make $11,000 and buy a house. Right now, the median income for an average household that's not under the poverty line is $75,000. And the average cost of a house is $400,000. The math is not mathing. The endurance that millennials are having to put in order to survive is significantly different than what boomers have to go through. And yet, instead of taking a step back and listening to what we have to say, they decide to call us lazy, ungrateful, don't want to work. Instead of I would love to put a boomer in a millennial situation. Go to college, get your degree, take out student loans. Go to college, get your degree, but you'll have to pay through student loans, okay? After that, hope that you get a job, but you're starting life off with debt, okay? So that house that you want, technically you bought that house because that's what paid for your college degree. That loan that you took out, that would have been your mortgage that you took out, your college degree equals up to a mortgage. So try to figure that out. And then on top of that, pay that back with a job that doesn't give you a pension, but a 401k, you're making just enough to get by. Oh, but you can't live on your own. You have to have a roommate. Mind you, your parents are pressuring you to meet somebody and get married. Put them in our situation and watch how fast they fold. That's all I have to say. But I'm realizing they're looking at us and we're looking at the dream that they have aspired to. And we're like, yeah, no. And they're taking us not wanting to engage in that as us being lazy. When it's like there's a different barrier of entry for us. We are enduring. Let
me tell you why I've lost faith in capitalism as a member of Gen Z. Number 1, dedicated myself to a company for years, only to get rewarded by getting laid off because corporate deemed the property lease as an unnecessary business expense. This in turn had a pretty negative effect on the already poor economy of the low-income neighborhood the store was located in. Number 2, the dollar has lost 50% of its value within my lifetime, and I think that speaks for itself. Number 3, ghost jobs. Companies want you to apply for everything online these days, and if they're posting fake job listings to scare their current employees to work harder, how are we supposed to know what's real or not? Number 4, my 2-year college degree cost just as much as my 6-year car loan, and I'm going to let you take a guess at which one was easier to get approved for. 5, I do not go to doctors. Why? Because I was raised throughout my life to be more afraid of death than afraid of dying. Follow for more rants about this BS system.
Even on a vacation, you're thinking at the back of your mind, man, this vacation is almost over. I gotta go back to reality. And it's just like that. Is this life? Is this truly life? Or is there something more? Is there more meaning to it? There just has to be. This cannot be it. This ain't it. This is exactly how I feel. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to it. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. And it's not easy. It's not easy to just feel stuck and held back and lied to and just overall misled. The world has changed, guys. How are you going to change your life? What changes are you trying to make an impact in your life and escape this trap that we live in? What changes? As for me, it is trading and investing, just overall. That is how I plan to escape. Leave your thoughts in the comments section down below.
Gen X and boomers love to talk about how Gen Z doesn't want to work and Gen Z is lazy and Gen Z doesn't want to do this. And just as someone in my mid-20s, do you know what I do when I don't understand something at work? I Google it. Do you know what I do when I'm assigned something at work and I don't know how to do it? I figure it out. Because tell me why I had to spend 40 minutes today explaining to someone who is Gen X how a fillable PDF works. I swear there is a subsect of Gen X and boomers that refuse to learn anything. They refuse to go to google.com. They are either unwilling or incapable. I think Gen X in the workforce right now are trying to make it their personal mission to piss me off. And I am more than willing to be helpful. I am more than willing to be a team player. But why, for the love of God, can't you Google anything? And why can't you work a Word document? Like, I'm genuinely wondering how some people have made it this far, to the point where I'm like, let's just stop hiring people over 40. I'm kidding, but like, also what? It's really the unwillingness to even try that really gets to me, because Gen Z has this whole reputation of not doing anything, not knowing anything, and I'm just like, the call is coming from inside the house.
Not the millennials out here quiet vacationing. And so quiet vacationing is when you go on vacation without requesting time off. And I think what we're seeing here is resistance to millennials' attempt to create work-life balance. Now, many organizations claim that work-life balance is something they value. That is, until they perceive that life has become more of a priority to the employee. Truth be told, the onus of creating work-life balance is on the employee, not the organization. The organization merely has to have policies set in place to support work-life balance. And while organizations have different policies that promote work-life balance, such as FMLA, vacation, sick leave, bereavement, those policies are usually more in favor of the organization than they are the employee. In fact, they have those policies in place because if they didn't, nobody would want to work there. So what we're seeing is a change in the way people are structuring their time around work. What we're seeing is millennials undoing the trauma centered around the workplace from generations past. Now, as someone who got their master's degree in industrial and organizational psychology, one of the key components to creating work-life balance is a concept called self-management. And that's essentially managing your time and your energy so that you can meet both your professional and your personal goals. So to me, if an employee has a remote schedule or has the luxury of having a hybrid schedule and they get their work done, then it shouldn't matter where they are. What we should be concerned about is why they don't feel comfortable vacationing loudly. Going on vacation should not be a secret, but I think millennials learned one very important thing when it comes to the workplace, and that is you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. For example, if you allow your job to overwork you, they absolutely will, without any concern for your health. On the other hand, when you set boundaries around your time and your level of work, all of a sudden your work ethic or your commitment to the organization is now in question. And setting those type of boundaries around your time can actually impact your upward mobility in the workplace. Whether quiet vacationing is right or wrong depends on the relationship between the employee and the organization. However, if there's a situation where the employee has the flexibility to quote unquote vacation while also meeting the organizational goals, then they should be able to exercise that liberty. And you know what? They should be able to exercise that liberty quietly. Stop telling on the millennials. Keep it down. At the end of the day, people no longer want to live to work. They want to work in order to make a living. And they do this even when they're well in their careers. And we're seeing exactly what that would look like in the future of work.
I appreciate you guys watching the video today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.